The next thing that we should quickly touch base on is the menus, which I had ignored as yet in the first video. So when you go into File, you have New Window, New Folder, Open Recent, Close Window, Return to Photoshop, Reveal in Finder. So this is pretty cool. I like the Reveal in Finder aspect. So let's say I choose this image and I go into File and I say Reveal in Finder. Guess what? It actually opens up that particular folder in my Finder, which would be the Windows Explorer on a Windows computer, and actually highlights that particular image. So that's kind of cool. It helps me track it down where my images may be residing. And again, rename and get info. So these are all things that we will talk about. In terms of the viewing, this is where the fun is. So first, before we get into the details of viewing, Bridge has a wonderful feature where any image that you select, you can actually see a full screen preview by simply pressing the space bar. So I click on the space bar and the image fills up the entire screen, whatever size screen you may be working on. By the same token, so if let's say you decide that, hey, you want to view X number of images and I'm making a selection of, I don't know, certain images. So let's say I've taken 4 or 5 images and I press the space bar. So the first image in the queue shows up, and then I can use the arrow keys on my keyboard to go right, forward, and it simply keeps on recycling and looping itself through the various images. You can go back and forth however you may want to, and to get out of it you can either hit the space bar or the escape key, and it reverts back to its original state. So that's kind of cool. And you can also choose, notice it says full screen preview, space bar, slideshow, Command L or Control L. So what you can do is select X number of images. So let's say I selected these images and I go into view and I say show me a slideshow. So basically it will show the images and continue onwards. So it's by default set to an X amount of time for each slide to show itself, and then it moves to the next slide. And to get out of it, once again, just hit the escape key or the spacebar key and you'll revert back to the original window. Then you have slideshow options. This is pretty cool. So when you go into slideshow options, so this is where you can, if you're using multiple monitors, you can say black out additional monitors, loop the slideshow, zoom back and forth. It's the transition between images, how long each slide should stay on screen. So I want it for 2 seconds. Any captions you want to see. I really don't want any captions. When presenting, centered, scale to fit, scale to fill. Scale to fill may not work, so I'll say scale to fit. What nature of transition do you want? Okay, so you can do a dissolve, you can do a scale. So these are many different transitions between one slide to the next slide. You can choose whichever one you want. How quick or slow do you want the transition to be? And once you're done, you hit done. So this was slideshow options. Then you have a review mode, which is very it's kind of the same as previews, except here you don't have to select the images. You simply are in a particular folder, and then you can simply go through all the images one at a time as to however you may want, and you can stop at any particular image. So there's a whole load of stuff that you can explore, and then again, to get out, you simply hit escape. But before you go there, notice the difference here at the bottom. There's this collection option. So you can actually click in here and say, okay guys, I just want that particular one and I want to see added to my collection. So you can literally click in here and go ahead. Then there's the enlarge symbol. So you click in here and it comes up and you can actually study the details, and this is 100% magnification of the image, so you can quite comfortably look through the details of the image and see how things are behaving. So this is a very interesting tool. I kind of like it. Okay, and then click away and it goes away. And then to get out of here, all you do is hit escape. Right now we were in the review mode. So again, the same options that existed down here at the bottom of the screen, somewhat similar, exist over here as well. So as details, so then it shows you accordingly. As a list, again the same idea that we choose from the bottom. So this is kind of a repeat of the whole thing. Okay, so show reject files, show hidden files, show folders, show items from subfolders, and then sort. How do you wish to sort? According to this. Again, this is the filter option and some more over here. And this is a refresh option to refresh the screen if you so wanted to. So currently I'm in this. I can simply go back at the bottom and then choose whatever I may wish to choose. And what else is left? Not a whole lot. Okay, now there is one thing in here. So if you recall, there is a folder in here. So this is the folder. Now I want to see what stuff resides in here. So obviously I could quite comfortably double click on it and see what resides in here, and there are additional folders within that space. So if I go back, the folder is here. Now if I go into view and say show items from subfolders, guess what it'll do? It will simply show me all those images from all the folders that resided within that particular space. So it's showing me all the images from within these folders as well. So right now it was just one image, and that image is also being visible somewhere in here. Okay, so and you can go back and simply say that, and it shuts that down. This was the viewing option. Okay, so this is important. Now if you go into the file option, it's not much different than, it's quite sort of self-explanatory, and you can understand exactly what it is. The edit menu, on the other hand, has some interesting features. First and foremost, the important thing is to recognize the color settings. So if you go into the color settings, it opens up a dialog box. Okay, and the very first thing is synchronize. Your Creative Cloud applications are synchronized using the same color settings for consistent color management, and I've set it to the North America General Purpose 2, which simply means that when I'm working in Photoshop and I take my images into Illustrator or InDesign or wherever the heck I may be working, the colors would be appropriately matched and work in a efficient manner. So there are different color settings that exist in here. From a photographic perspective, I would suggest keeping it to either this or go to the Adobe RGB and then apply, or you could choose the Pro Photo. Okay, again, these are choices. I would recommend sticking with the Adobe RGB profile until you understand what the differences are between different color profiles, which we will be discussing when we are talking more Photoshop. This is the color settings. Develop settings. Now, if let's say we have an image and we go into develop settings, so there are the camera raw defaults or previous conversion or copy camera or clear settings. So if it was a raw file and it had been played with, I could easily say, hey, can we please copy the camera raw settings, because I would like to apply those settings to other images that I may have worked to make my life a little more efficient. And again, copy, duplicate, edit capture time, revert capture time, or rotate left, right. Again, would I go through here? No, probably not. Start dictation. You can also add notations in here, because if I wanted to rotate an image, I could simply come up here and rotate any which way that I want, as much as I want. Okay, so this is a little more efficient. In the next video, I will continue with more information very specifically and also discuss what these little icons are all about in detail. Thank you very much and hope to see you very soon.